Hi guys, welcome back. Sean from Momentum. So this is now part 2 of the series for an ultimate guide for beginners who want to train. Now this is probably the one where you might want to really listen to. I think this is one of the most important things. We're talking about the mindset. Now I'm not a big psychological person in the sense of psychology and studies, but I do believe that the mind is the driver towards the body. So before we start though, I want you to like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't seen the first episode, please make sure you watch that. I'm gonna link that somewhere around here because I actually don't know how to use this feature or too efficiently just yet. And after that, if you can, comment anything or ask any questions that you want me to help you out with. This is the whole reason why we do this. We want absolutely all the engagement as possible just so that we can help you. Because the more that you ask, the more I can actually cater my content towards helping you. Mindset's a really important one because like I said, the mind is the driver of the body. So when I start talking about the mind, I'm really just talking about how you are as a person. When it comes to exercise, when it comes to health and fitness, first of all, we highly encourage everyone to know where the healthy parameters are. Because a lot of people will try and push boundaries beyond what they really should be. And what I mean by that is people who are trying to lose 30 kilos in the next 2 weeks, to even just saying that I'll cut out a whole food group. This is not a sustainable lifestyle. So the first thing that we like to tell people is you're here for the infinite game, or you're here to play for the rest of your life. And what I mean by that is your health is not something to be gamed with for the next 6 weeks, the next 12 weeks, or whatever it might be. You need to make sure that what you're doing is setting you up for success for the long term. Now, don't get me wrong. You should be trying to play a game with yourself and have fun with it, but it can't go to the point where it's causing you to be unhealthy. And this is what I always make sure I tell all my clients. If you're going to set a goal, you want to make sure you're doing it correctly. If you're setting a goal, you want to make sure it's also realistic. So the first thing that we're going to cover today is setting goals. Now, first of all, you're probably asking, why do I need to set a goal? You want to set a goal because then you have direction. And not only that, you also want to have a little bit of a stress. Stress is not a bad thing, by the way. Stress can be good. Stress is what pushes you into a certain direction to help motivate you. Because if you have no stress, you don't really want to do it then. Anyway, back to the point. So when it's about setting these goals, you want to be making sure you use this formula. We call it the SMART goal. Now, I do get a little bit confused with this, but I tend to use 3 or 4 of them rather than the whole SMART factor into it, but it really does help at the end of the day. So I'm going to use something like I want to be stronger. Okay, I want to be stronger. That's my goal. That's a very broad goal. We need to make sure we're going to change this to a SMART goal. The S in SMART means specific. Now, specific means being as specific as possible. So when it comes to I want to get stronger, this is what is going to prevent you from going to being stronger in the squat to stronger in the bench press. And this is what's going to help me with my client, because I always ask them, what do you want to get stronger in? And if they say, I want to get stronger in the bench press, good, then we can actually use that as a goal and maybe add more bench press exercises. Communication is so important with this part. Now the next part is measurable. You want to choose something that you can actually measure, because if you say, I want to get stronger in the bench press, and you go, how much do you want to bench? And you go, I don't know. This is going to be a little bit difficult. You want to make sure that you have something that you can measure. So for a bench press, let's say I want to bench 100 kilos for 10 reps, or maybe I want to bench 140 kilos, whatever it might be, as long as I have something where I can go, yes, I've definitely done it. Not everything can be measured, but there is some way of measurement. And this is where the professional or the coach that you have can help you with that. Achievable. A goes for achievable. Now, some people might set themselves a goal where they go, hey, look, I want to be in the Olympics in the next 4 weeks. Don't know how that's going to go. Anyway, when it comes to an achievable goal, you need to make sure that you can actually do it. So let's keep the theme of me and my bench press. If I say, hey, look, I want to be able to bench press 200 kilos. Well, is that achievable? Probably not. How would I know that? Maybe I need to check the records and see if I can see someone roughly about my age, my height, and my weight. Were they able to do it? Maybe you can check the sporting federations. Maybe you can just check the world records. Maybe you're just being a little bit unrealistic. Now the next thing is realistic. This is what the R part of SMART goals are. I'm not gonna lie, A and R, they're very, very similar. So I like to say, is it realistic? Well, first of all, this is how I interpret realistic. This is your goal, but this is your lifestyle. You set yourself a very big goal, but your lifestyle is, I'm gonna go out drinking 5 days a week, I'm not gonna stretch, I'm not gonna mobilize, I'm not gonna treat the movement as a skill, I'm not gonna get coached. Do you really think it's possible? You need to ask yourself, did you set yourself a realistic goal? Now, if I get a guy who's never bench pressed in his life and he's 70 kilos and he goes, hey, I would like to bench press 100, and they go, is that realistic? Is that achievable? To me, yes, it is, as much as you want to push for it and learn to get there. But to them, they may not think it is. So that's where you need to consult with someone who's a little bit more professional or more experienced in that field. I think it is possible, and I think you can do anything you can put your mind to. Now, the last part of the SMART goal is the time. We need to make sure that is time-based, because you can't just have an open-ended goal. Now, don't get me wrong, don't put it too low and don't put it too high. And I think this is where a lot of people think that they can go into a very, very short period of time, because what's the point in that? So what I've said to people is, make sure you choose a realistic time slot for you to achieve this goal. And maybe it might help for you to do a long-term goal and a short-term goal of the same thing. So let's just say I've never bench pressed in my life and I want to be able to achieve 100 kilos. And this person goes, I want to achieve 100 kilos in say 4 weeks. Not gonna happen. But what we can do is say, hey look, why don't we put the 100 kilo bench press for 1 year? Then from there, maybe in 6 months, we put a 75 kilo bench press. And 4 weeks time, because you've never bench pressed in your life, let's do 40 kilos for 10 reps and see if you can get there. And that's exactly how you can get your milestones. You are able to make more small achievable steps to be able to align yourself with the long-term goal. Now, this SMART goal is actually really useful for lots of things. It could be making money, making friends, it could be building a business, it could be even coming back from an injury. Make sure you have realistic goals. Now, if you're choosing something like fat loss and muscle gain, guess what? It can be a little bit harder because we can't control physiological things. And this is where it leads us to the next thing, habit tracking. Your mindset needs to go less about getting numbers and sometimes about actually just doing the thing that will get you there. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit more about habit tracking. What do I mean by habit tracking? I'm gonna use a different example because this one might relate to a lot of people. So let's say if you wanted to lose weight. Now, you would measure that by how much you weigh on the actual scales. I don't want people to know that the scales are a reflection of their hard work. It's not true. There are so many other things that can affect your weight. That's water, salt, stress, sleep, clothing, everything in between, and even if you went to the toilet. What I tell people who are trying to lose weight or choose to lose fat is to actually, first of all, track their habits. And what do I mean by habits? First of all, before I go through this, make sure you have someone who can help you actually do this, because you also want to make sure it's a realistic, trackable habit. When I talk about tracking habits, this is your goal. You want to say, get stronger, you want to lose some fat, you want to be a little bit healthier. You want to be able to track the habit that's going to help you get there. And it could be training first. So instead of actually tracking your weight, track how much you train and choose a healthy amount. Don't go 7 days a week because that will burn you out. We want to choose something that will go for long term and still deliver results. And it could be 3 days a week for now. If during those 3 days a week, and once again, this ties into episode number 1, you could focus on technique, learning the skill, and some basic progressive overloads. From there, if you do 3 days a week, let's go to the second week. Let's do another 3 days a week. And you keep going on and you track the habit of actually exercising first. Now, I actually tell a lot of people focus on exercise before nutrition and every other thing, because if you can get this down pat and actually start to enjoy it, everything else becomes a little bit easier to take on board. If you're trying to learn how to exercise, to how to eat, to how to stretch, how to look after your body, it gets very confusing. So track one habit at a time. Do that for yourself. Once you have started tracking that one habit, it becomes automatic. You no longer have to track it as much. You go into the next habit. And it could be counting your macros. It could be learning to read something about nutrition. It could be anything else that helps you learn more. And when we do that with our clients, we make sure it's exercise first, nutrition second. Even saying that it could also be somewhere between is to post inside the Facebook group to build a community, because you need to surround yourself with like-minded people. So the last tip when it comes to mindset, This is probably my most favorite one because I think it helps a lot of people. Now, I've said it many times throughout these last 2 videos, it's about playing the infinite game. Your health is something that you don't want to risk. Now, don't forget why you started this. You started this goal for whatever reason it might be. For myself, is so that I could, help people like yourself. For other people, it might be because they want to take control of their life again. For other people, it's because they want to achieve something and feel proud about themselves. So don't forget that the best way to do it is first start, and the second best way to do it is to keep consistent and keep doing it. Okay? So don't get me wrong, my goals change all the time. I've come from bodybuilding when I first started to powerlifting a few years back, and I still borrow those methodologies to weightlifting, and who knows what I'm going to do next year and the year after that and the year after that, but I'm never going to stop exercising. So for yourself, once you achieve the next goal, what's the next goal after that? Because after, it's just going to keep going and revolving and revolving. You want to try and remember that you're doing things for a long time, which is the rest of your life. This is your health after. So make sure what you do is going to help you long term, and this is going to tie into the next series when I talk about nutrition. This will tie into also your exercise as well. Just know that everything has some sort of expiry date before you go into the next movement. For myself, I know I did not continue on with powerlifting because the body started to break down a little bit. So I said, hey, look, how can I change my methodologies? How can I train, or how can I adapt according to my life and how my body is recovering? So I really want to stress that to you guys. I hope you found this episode really helpful. Mindset is sometimes the most hardest thing to bring up and talk. This was just 3 tips that I found that helped me. It helped a lot of people that I've been talking to who want to exercise. It helps with a lot of clients who are losing motivation. It really helps me. And the best thing I can say is when it comes to trying to achieve any goal for a matter, and obviously health and fitness is what I specialize in, but it can work with anything, is to surround yourself with people who are trying to achieve the same goal. Put yourselves in a WhatsApp group or put yourselves in a Facebook group, find a Facebook group, join a gym, join Momentum. It really does help you, jokes aside, it really does help you be able to ask those questions. And one thing I struggle with is actually this business itself. I'm going to be very open about it. When I first opened, it was just me. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I knew what I was doing. And now I start asking a lot of people about what they've been doing with their businesses. And we start talking about these small things because not everyone will be able to relate with you unless they go through the same things. So once you find those people, hold them close, grab another person and keep building that community. Guys, thank you so much for your time. I want you to know that the series will keep going. We've got the next one being nutrition. If you actually liked it, comment, like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. My goal is only to be able to help as many people as possible. I hope you really enjoyed this, and don't be afraid to DM me through Instagram or send me an email if you have something that you want me to talk about. Thank you so much for your time.